So I told you that you were going to see more of me on YouTube, but I bet that you didn't expect to see this. This is coming from the girl who is the content creator, the one who used to dance for Disney and travel the world on cruise ships, the one who also loves to travel and host all these international trips. I bet you didn't imagine that you would see me talking about dollhouses. But there is a reason. So let me just take you back. I'm going to take you back in time. So back in 2022, I had been running my business for 2 years, and it was a real noticeable shift. Obviously that time was very unique and weird. Anyway, we'd come out of lockdown, we were kind of easing back into real life, and things were just a bit odd. So prior to launching my business, where I was working in marketing and I was full throttle in content creation, editing, building a business, marketing, helping other people with their social medias, I used to do it as a hobby. So I've always been a creator to the core, and I've always loved to express myself creatively. I've done that through dance, I've done that through travel, I've done that through creating like these scrapbooks that I used to do. And then I obviously started doing it through content. So I used to put vlogs together, I used to put blogs together, I would create all this fun, exciting, engaging content for fun. Then that obviously organically led into me working in that industry. So I literally put my foot down on the gas, which I'm going to talk to you about a lot on this channel, and I built a business. I was able to then work with other people and be able to collaborate with lots of different businesses. I've done a few different campaigns. So last year I went to Barcelona with a big travel company. I've had all these different cool experiences where I was getting to travel the world and create content. And I noticed that all of my hobbies and all of my work was online. And I was like, wait a minute, how did this happen? Because I used to be in the dance studio, I used to be doing different things. But when I'd come out of the industry, I was brokenhearted. It's like a whole thing. But, I didn't feel like I had anything outside of social media, content creation. And that was where my creative superpower was. So I was in a bit of a pickle because I was like, I don't want to spend all of my work time and all of my free time online, editing videos, creating videos, coming up with captures, finding all this creative stuff. So I actually took a back seat on the kind of fun side of content that I was used to doing. And then I had a conversation with my inner child. So this is where I want all of you to really take a think back to when you were younger, what were the things that you used to love? What were the things that used to really get your attention? What did you truly enjoy? Not necessarily what do you want to be when you grow up, but just the things that you used to do for fun. Obviously, a big part of mine was dance, but I was a bit hesitant about getting back into dance because it was such a difficult industry to be in at the time. And I felt like going into a dance class for fun would have felt like being in an audition room or being judged. And it took me a while. So I was like, I need something else. What else did I love to do when I was a kid? And I remember that when I used to go to college, so I used to travel an hour on the bus to go to college. And when I was on the bus, I would go through this little town, and in this little town they had a dollhouse shop. And I feel like they're not around a lot. Dollhouse shops, you can't really find them very often at all. So I found this dollhouse shop, and I used to go in there and just look around at all these cute little miniature things. And they had miniature of everything, little miniature fruits and veg, little painting kits, little tiny bustiers and outfits. They had these dollhouses decorated Victorian times. They were just so beautiful. And I just used to walk around this shop in between waiting for buses and just look at all these miniature things. And then there was a dollhouse book. Let me know if any of you remember this, if you're a dollhouse enthusiast or if you just remember it from childhood. But there was this pop-up book that you could get. So it had a little ribbon that you could tie. Basically, you open this pop-up book and it opened all the way around, and it had four different quarters to it, and you could stand this book up, tie it with the ribbon, and it had 4 different areas with an upstairs and a downstairs, and it was a dollhouse that you could kind of create with this book. Honestly, it must still be out there. I'm gonna have a look on Amazon and show you a screenshot of this video because it was incredible. So I remember these things. So as I got older, I was thinking, what do I like? I was I wonder if I could just find a dollhouse and, renovate it. Wait, before this, it's very important to tell you this particular piece of information. My boyfriend that I moved in with in that lockdown period, he renovates houses. So, we've been together 5 years, we've lived in 5 different houses, and we move into it when it's an absolute hellhole of a house. We then renovate it, paint it, spruce it up, get new kitchen, get new bathroom, do all that kind of stuff, and then we move out. So in that process, I kind of saw his love for like transforming something that was a bit disheveled and bringing some life back to it. So I randomly, and I wish I'd done this earlier, I wish I'd done it in the main part of lockdown. This was kind of like when everything was picking back up. So it's taken me a lot longer to kind of work on this project and do the dollhouse thing than I think it would have otherwise. So I was like, I'm just going to buy a dollhouse. So I bid for this dollhouse on Facebook Marketplace. It was £20. They were like, oh, someone else has just offered 20. I offered 25, bought the dollhouse for £25, and then shoved it in the back of my tiny little car and drove it home. And it was basically just a shell of a dollhouse. It needed a bit of work. It was all kind of like sticky, and the paint was peeling off, and it just needed a lot of work. But what I liked about it was a complete blank canvas. It was white on the inside, and it didn't really have anything done to it. So I didn't feel like I had to kind of like peel little miniature wallpaper off or anything like that. I could just start from scratch, and that's what I loved about it. So in the process, so that was 2022. It's now 2025, and the dollhouse is still not finished. I don't think it will ever be finished because it's something that's just like a creative outlet. Like, I wouldn't say my goal is to be like, I can't wait till this is finished and then this, because I almost feel like when I do finish it, what am I going to do with it? Like, what's going to happen? So I like the fact that I've just got this canvas that I get an idea about, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to do a bit more of this today. And it peels me away from doing anything digital. I sometimes have my headphones in and I'll listen to an audiobook or a podcast, and I'll just be painting, or I'll be cutting, I'll be sticking, and it really just lets time go by. Daniel, my boyfriend, he loves to do puzzles. So we've both got our like little creative quiet time that we like. So like we might have some music on, he's doing his puzzles and he's fully focused on that. I'm cutting and sticking and kind of putting together these little pieces of furniture. And at the end, we've both got something to show for it. And I think what I love about the doll's house is that it fully is an expression of my creativity. So it's not like, for me, like with a puzzle or with Lego, where it's already something that exists already and you're just building that thing. For me, there's no ceiling on what I can do with any one of the rooms and where it can go and what colours I can use. Like, there's just so much flexibility and creativity. So it's been really interesting for me to find this as a hobby. And it's something that, I didn't know was a thing. And then I went on TikTok. And this is where, guys, when anyone says to me like, oh, like no one wants to hear about my fishing, or no one wants to hear about, the fact that I, paint shoes or something that you do. I don't freaking know like what your hobbies are, but you go on TikTok and there is a whole world of everything. So I went on TikTok and I just thought, I wonder if anyone's like making wooden floor for, doll's house or whatever. And there's a whole world of people that are in the miniature community on TikTok and beyond is wild. There are miniature conventions all over the world. I went to one last year the year before last actually, in Coventry. I'm going to one this year in London, and it's like the Kensington, Dollhouse miniature convention or whatever, and everyone's there from all over. They've got these big giant doll houses, from Harrods, and they're just gorgeous. And what I loved about it was that, there were all sorts of people there. There was one lady that said, oh, I've got 7 dollhouses at home, I've been doing it for years. And someone that's like, I'm just starting out. It's just such a unique world. So it's been a really nice hobby to get into, with no judgment, with people that are all ages. Some people are way older, some people are like a lot younger and do like more like modern, quirky, New York style dollhouses. But I feel like that crafty creativity has really come back into its own. I think we've kind of let go of the extreme hustle, the work, and we're trying to balance that with other things that make us happy. My work makes me so happy. I love being able to help people build their businesses and get in front of people, promote with confidence. I love to do all that stuff. But I realise that most of what I do is that digital connection. So it's so nice to have something that's just crafty, just for me. It's like my little selfish time. And I highly encourage all of you to find a hobby outside of your work, particularly when your hobby becomes your work, which is what happens when a lot of us kind of really do well with our side hustle. It can become the new work. So you've got to find something outside of that lights you up and makes you happy. And you'll also be happy to know that I've started going back to dancing, and I absolutely love it. I have such a new an exciting relationship with dancing now that I just never used to have. It used to feel pressure, it used to feel scary, it used to feel work, it used to feel nervous and anxious and stressed and, you know, oh, if I don't get this job then I'm not good enough. And now I go to class and I feel amazing. So you can actually also fall back in love with the things that you used to do. You know, you might have gone on to a different career path, but you could still do the thing in a hobby capacity that you've always wanted to do, and I love that. I absolutely love that. So I'm going to give you a little doll's house tour and show you all of the rooms, what I've created, because I do get quite a few people just asking me like, oh, how's it coming on? And as I said in this video, it will never be finished, so let's just start there. And second of all, you know, I just want you to kind of see the little process of it. And I will say, you know, in the time that I have done this one house that's not yet complete, Daniel has renovated like 3 different houses. So it does like show that my progress is probably not the best, but I just love having a hobby that lights me up and is something that's really fun and interesting and gets me outside of that online space. So I'll give you a tour and I'd love to hear your comments and thoughts on what you think of it. Here is my forever work in progress dollhouse. It obviously didn't start out like this, and I'm always changing little bits and bobs. This is what I've got for a workshop at the moment. So it ends up getting very, very messy in here. As you can see, I've kind of designed it after the house from the Disney film Up. So it's got that kind of like vibe. I've got a couple of balloons. I've got some more that I want to put on there, but obviously I can't put as many on there as are in the film. And this creative process has been really fun. Like it's so intricate. And what I've realized is that I am not a professional. Like I'm nowhere near some of the incredible people that you see on like TikTok and Instagram and, you know, YouTube who are like professional dollhouse, you know, renovators, designers, whatever. So my level of detail is not the best, you know, but for me, it is just an outpouring of creativity. So I'm gonna open up the house and then I'm gonna walk you through each of the rooms and I guess the inspiration from each of the rooms. It will be pretty self-explanatory because, you know, it is Disney theme. So I'll open this first. If I open out these doors, you'll see the bedrooms. I'll show you it at a glance first. So that's kind of the house. And then I'll walk you through each room so that you can kind of see. Obviously, you know, you can see here that like there's more work to be done. Like it is just, what I found with this whole process is that I really love the design of the internal rooms, and then just like the regular sort of design of the house and like painting it I've not found as exciting. So I dove straight into this, and then the outside probably could do with a bit more work. So you can see I've got the 4 different rooms. So here I've got the Cruella de Vil living room. Here I've got the Alice in Wonderland kitchen. Here I've got the Toy Story bedroom. And here I've got the Beauty and the Beast library. And then the attic is kind of just all the little bits and pieces that I wanted to do. I wanted to make it a little bit of like a design studio, almost like I was going to do a Tangled theme for like a painting room, but I decided to just kind of do something that was all of the stuff that I couldn't really fit into a room kind of just ends up there, and I'll explain like how that works. So the first room will go here first. This is the Cruella de Vil sort of like lounge area. I've used it as a bit of a sewing room, so I've done it so there's quite a bit of her design pieces around. I've put a bit of a travel element in there. I wanted to do a completely black and white room, but I found that everything started to get lost in there. I would like to do maybe some shelving at the back, just so that I've got some space. This room feels particularly like everything is very low down, there's not much height. And I'll show you the other rooms, all of them have got a bit more height. So I've not yet decided how I'm gonna lift things off the ground, but I do think it'll be good to do something where that's the case, if you know what I mean. So in terms of design, I've obviously got lots of little bits lying around. I don't know if I need another table, but I don't know if there's enough space for one, so we'll see. I like the fact that I introduced a bit of brown. I think that just gave it a pop of colour that was other than black and white, if you know what I mean. And then in terms of like these cool little design pieces, like I absolutely love that bustier thing. That is one of my favorite pieces in the room. At the back, I designed on Canva these like Cruella de Vil Vogue covers, which I thought were quite cool. So they kind of just go on the back, inserted in with the paneling. And then I've got some cool little quirky hats. See the red one here as well. And there's a bag in the back. I got that one from an Etsy shop, which I love. And then I bought a sofa, and then I just added polka dot and a bit of gold trimming with paint. And I thought that looked really, really cool. So there's also this dish in here. I don't know if you can kind of see that. It's got pearls in it. And it's called like a little shell dish with a bit of jewellery in it. So yes, and then also this came from a Dollhouse kit, and I just turned it into like a little perfume thing. So yeah, so that's pretty much the Cruella de Vil living room. Like I say, everything is kind of like unfinished to my eye. There's always little bits that I look at and think, oh, I could do that, and it's missing that. But you know, overall I do think that the room speaks for itself. This is probably, oh, I don't know if this is my favourite actually. They're all kind of my favourite. So this is the Alice in Wonderland kitchen. So you can see at a glance that it's got so many different colours. I've even done the ceiling in sort of polka dot. I've done this sort of like Harlequin room. I bought these photo frames off of Temu, and then they all had like different pictures in them, like little landscape images. So what I decided to do was print off on Canva lots of Alice in Wonderland style pictures, or like pictures from the film, and then put them into the photo frames. So you can see I've got like the Queen of Hearts from the original, I've got the Queen of Hearts from the live action version, I've got Cheshire Cat. This room actually has a lot of kit bashing, and I did get very creative with like making my own furniture. So here you can see that was from like a Dollhouse making kit. It was a room box that was themed after like a library. So I stole quite a few bits from that and put into there and just kind of redesigned. I've obviously put mushrooms and potion and roses and things on there. There's clocks hidden sort of everywhere. I did get some miniature playing cards as well, so I'll show you those on the other side. I made this shelf, and then all of these little jars of like sweets or whatever you would call them, I got that off Temu and then just like kind of stuck those onto the shelves. Everything is pretty much glued down in this room, like all of these are kind of stuck on so they won't come off. We'll see how long they last. Sometimes I randomly just come down and then there's like a mirror on the floor or something. So I don't know if there's someone living in here or if it just loses its stick. So at the back, here's where I did a bit of kit bashing, so you can see that those were from a different kit, and then I just kind of, you know, repurposed them, redesigned them. At the back, I've got that lovely picture of Alice in the photo frame with all surrounded by the mushrooms and all of the sort of like plant stuff, and it's got potion bottles on the top. Of course, there would be no Alice in Wonderland theming without some afternoon tea. So there's loads of cakes, I've got milk there, I've got a little teapot there that's themed like a little house. And then this I actually got from my first ever and only so far miniature convention. And I bought this on the spot because I was like, it is so beautiful. And I just thought I wanted to get something that, you know, like showed the beginning of my little Dollhouse journey. And I feel like it just went so perfectly with the kitchen. It's a lovely like iggledy-piggledy sort of room, like nothing really makes any sense. I love that. I made these little arrows just from balsa wood. So I cut those out, and I did the same here as well. That is made out of balsa wood, toothpicks and a little bit of foam. So I've done that door just so it looks like there's something there. And then you can see there's this like hat clock. There's a little mini sort of like grandfather clock. There's butterflies. They are kind of like these little wooden outlines of butterflies that I got off of Temu. And then obviously you can see lots of playing cards that I've stuck all over the walls, kind of vibe, and obviously painted the door in a way that matched the ceiling. So I feel like this one really, really came together so beautifully. Like all of this room, it makes me think, but I don't know, I just feel like I'd love to like walk around that kitchen and like just be fully immersed in that like chaotic, crazy vibe of it all. The table is probably my favourite piece in this room, aside from the gorgeous piece that I bought there. Because everything's stuck down. I feel like it just creates this element of like crazy chaos. Like it just feels like something that you would see in the film which I love. And then I'll go into a bit more detail, but I made these newspapers with like cool little headlines on that are from the relevant Disney films. So there's a little bit of Queen of Hearts in there as well. So that is the kitchen. And then next we'll go to Andy's toy room. So this room was actually inspired by mini brands. So there's a Disney themed mini brands that you can get, and when you open them they've got like toys from all the Disney films in. So there's actually a magic lamp in the back, which doesn't really go with this theme, but I didn't want to not have it as part of the room. And then obviously you've got all the little Toy Story toys, so there's a few in there that you'll be able to spot. So I've got the alien in there. I did actually make this box. I bought a box, like a little tiny wooden box from the works, and then I did paper mache on the top to create so it looks like that. The wagon toy box in Andy's room, I think I just need to draw the outline of a wagon on, but I'm scared to ruin it, so I've just kind of left it as it is. I made these little building blocks myself out of these strips of wood. It's the same strips of wood that I used to build the base of the bed, and then I just chopped them into squares, and then yeah, just like drew like little letters on them and made it spell Toy Story and ABC, which I thought was quite cool. And then that is a coaster that I painted. So it was kind of like a woven beige coaster, and then I just painted on top of it to make it kind of go with the theme of the room. And then I printed these off of Canva. So I googled you know, the drawings that Andy had done, and then I printed those off and stuck them onto a corkboard. The corkboard is again the base of a coaster, and then the outline is just like almost like a matchstick that I've chopped into little different pieces. And then obviously the design of the room is just like in the film. And then some of these toys came from different sort of like mini brands and little game things. That is one of my favorites because I just feel like it's just iconic from the film. And then you've got the cool little toy Maccas, and I used to have one of those, so that really makes me like remember childhood. Obviously, you know, there's a little bit of paint jobby stuff going on there, but it's very, very, very difficult to paint on such a small scale and do it tidily. Like, I don't know how people do it. And then over here I've got Andy's toy box for like moving house. I thought that was like a cool little addition. I made this, I actually sewed the bed, and I just bought some material from Etsy, like a sheet of Toy Story material, and then made it into a bed sheet. I made the bed base from these little wood strips that I stuck together. It was really, really difficult to do, and I think if I had to do it again, I probably would just buy a bed because yeah, it was so difficult. It was so hard, but I love how it turned out, and I feel like it looks just like the one from the film because it's got the curvature at the back. That was an old keyring, this little teddy bear here, so I've put him in there. And then the bookshelf, I actually got books that I used to read as a child, so they're like the Disney collection of books. I don't want to mess with the toy shelf too much, so I won't do it in this video, but I'll show you after when I've kind of had a bit of a play around with it. So yeah, so I made these little books that I used to read when I was a kid, and then put them all on the bookshelf, and I just put a little bit of cardboard in between so it feels like there's, you know, like pages in the middle. And then you've got some more mini brands, and on the shelf I've got Jessie, and I've got Buzz, and then over here I've got Bullseye and another one of the aliens. I've kept that alien in this box because I've got two, so I thought I'll keep one in the box. So yeah, that is pretty much Andy's toy room. And then the last like full room, but not least, is the Beauty and the Beast library. So this is, oh my god, I just love it so much. I feel like we've gone into that era. I made this gorgeous bookshelf, and that was one of the hardest things that I did make at the time. But I feel like it just absolutely like makes the room. It's like the masterpiece of the room, and I feel like it still leaves so much space because it's all tucked away at the back. Lots of the books that are on the shelf, they came from the bookshelf kit that I had, so I ended up just like taking them out of the bookshelf kit and then putting them into here. The Lumiere and the Cogsworth clock I got from Temu. I got the rose from Temu as well. I originally had that middle section painted brown, the same as the bookcase, but it got lost, so I needed something to kind of reflect the colours. So I made it gold, and then I felt like it pops really well. I also found online this like gorgeous like Renaissance style painting of the Disney princesses. So I literally just printed it off and stuck it on the ceiling so that it looks like a cool like design, like it's been painted on there. Obviously I did not do that, but I just printed it on and stuck it on. And then, yeah, I've obviously framed it all with gold. So this is actually like a foam, I don't know how to explain it. It's like a foam board, and then you just cut it and stick it. So I did, I drew on it with like a gold pen. I'll show you actually because I've got it here. It's this like paint pen that I used. So I used that gold paint pen, and then I kind of went round. It's all perforated, or like, I don't know what you would call it. Like it rises up so you can draw on it quite easily. But obviously it's quite messy, but I quite liked that theme. I didn't want any of it to be perfect, which is actually really good because none of it is, so it worked out exactly as I planned. And then I bought a mixture of books just from, you know, Amazon and Temu and Etsy and things like that. I love these cute little books, so I've got that one that's got some like writing in it, and then I've got that just reminds me of the film, and then I've just got some jewels in there. And like I said, the bookshelf is just like, oh my gosh, like, can I please just shrink down, live in this room and have that bookshelf, because I love it. So all of that together, so they're kind of like the 4 main rooms. So I've got Cruella de Vil, I've got Alice in Wonderland, I've got Toy Story, and then I've got the Beauty and the Beast library. And then, like I said, I've got the overflow room, which is the attic. I kind of want this to be like the creative space, and where all the leftover pieces that don't necessarily fit into these 4 categories, like where that can go. So so what I did, this is probably my favourite thing of all, was I went onto Canva, of course, good old Canva, and I created my own little headlines for different Disney films. And then I used the photos from like film, how do I explain this? So I basically made my own like newspaper headlines, so I'll just show you some so you can see. So this one is Edgar's lethal recipe revealed, and that's obviously from the Aristocats. So this one, villains tonight, new head of fashion announced. Again, the meanest villain in town. Ralph finally comes clean, why I really broke the internet. So there's just so many like things. I forgot what all of them say now. And then it puts not so hugging bear, faces public trial. As I won't kind of bore you with all of them. See which exclusive, my new voice. Use just like a bit of Gorilla Glue to make this kind of, you know, vibe, so that it looks like it's kind of in the attic, and I'm providing that insulation. What's this one? Sister Steel glass slipper. But what I really like about this, like my little secret hidden gem, is the fact that I've actually put my own dollhouse in here. So you'll recognise that, so I've uploaded that picture and done that. Be prepared, Mufasa's brother breaks his solemn silence. I don't expect anyone to like look at all of the detail and kind of like zoom into it to that level, but I love the fact that it was there, and it was just a way of me kind of creatively, you know, putting my own little twist on it, and making it so that it wasn't just like generic newspaper. It still kind of went with the theme of Disney. So yeah, that is my house, guys. Thank you so much for like coming along for this tour. It has been super fun, and like I said, it's one of those projects that's definitely like ongoing. So I don't know if it will ever get finished. I don't know what I'll ever do with it, but it is yeah, it's been super fun to create. So yes, thank you so much. So that's my doll's house tour. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the doll house, and obviously just hear what you think of it, what room is your favourite. And if you are someone who is kind of wanting to get back into a hobby, there's something you want to try again, tell me what it is. Like, tell me what you'd like to do. Tell me what you used to do when you were younger that maybe you might pick back up. I'm just so keen to hear about this, because I feel like hobbies are kind of the gateway to so much of like lifting the lid on your creativity, which then can fuel your business or your career. So yay! Anyway, thanks so much for listening. See you soon.